Hello, my name is Dirkje.
And my name is Martin, and this is a tribe of the fox. And today we have Heathen Reflections, and we're already at part 4. So, Dirkje, what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, what is the subject today? Yeah, we are going to talk and to investigate also about what can we find about ancient witches. Witches, magicians, vulvas, and seeresses. Did they really exist? And that's the question. And what did they do? More important, what did they do? Did they use magic, really? Did they use cider, witchcraft, maybe necromancy? And what did they do? What can we find about them? And there are strong clues that we find in archaeological findings and also in old writings. So first about one archaeological finding, and that is about the seeress of Virkat. Virkat is a place in Denmark, and sometimes, yeah, very unusual archaeological findings are made. I always have trouble with that word, but yeah, for example, there was one Viking grave, a woman, and she was found in the Ring Fortress somewhere in Denmark. And that grave is from before the year 1050. So the grave is more than 1000 years old. And she was dressed in royal colors, blue and red, and with gold thread through her dress. And yeah, she has been given ordinary female gifts like a spindle and scissors, all that kind of stuff, and also very expensive, exclusive bronze bowls. And also very special in the grave was also a metal wand, and also seeds from henbeni plant. And henbeni, that is the seeds of the plant, causes hallucinations. The story goes that they throw the seed into the fire and then breathe the smoke and then get a hallucination. So that's very nice that they find this. For me, it's a kind of proof that really it did exist, this kind of things. And yeah, there were more objects. Owl pellets in the grave, in a little box. Bones from a small bird, bones from mammals, and a silver-shaped amulet. And that amulet has a shape of a chair. And the chair, and we made a video about the high seat ritual. Martijn, you made a video about that, or we, or you, I don't know. But there is a video about that. And the high seat, it was not a myth. This is an amulet of the high seat. And the high seat ritual is a ritual with divination. And yeah, I think that's very special. There was also a silver pendant with a little goose feet or maybe duck feet. And I think they had the meaning of wrinkling or something. They were from silver and you could wrinkle with them. It's very funny. I'm busy making copies of it from metal and silver. Yeah, well, the myths about the vulva and the seeresses are real. That's special, isn't it? And there's more. Yeah, there are also documents, Martijn.
Yeah, definitely. And the interesting thing is that you just mentioned a vulva or a seeress. So that's someone with a very special position in society. But the documents about heathen practices that are made by the Roman Catholic Church to make them forbidden, they also apply to normal people. So yes, vulvas had a major role, like a priestess almost. But the common people, they had their practices as well. So And by the way, Dirk, you mentioned the high seat ritual, and I actually participated in a high seat ritual, and you can even recreate it today. So it's still a practice that we can do. So as a source, today we use again, this book from Dr. Anine van der Meer, and it's called Vrouw Holle and the Hidden Wisdom in Fairy Tales. Way over 600 pages, and it's an endless source of inspiration. And the writer, who is a historian, she writes here about 2 documents from the Roman Catholic Church from around the year 750. Well, actually 743. It's a list of heathen practices that those are forbidden to do by the Roman Catholic Church. And there is also, we call it in Dutch, the Utrechtse doopbelofte. And if we translate this in English, then, well, in English it's often said the Old Saxon baptism vow, because the Saxons, they remained heathens for as long as they could. And yeah, what does it say, this Utrechtse doopbelofte? Utrecht, by the way, is a place that has a bishop in the Netherlands. It's in the middle of the Netherlands. So if a heathen would become a Christian, then he would have to answer questions to the priest. So that already sucks. Do you forsake the devil? That was the first question the heathen had to answer. And then he had to say, yeah, I forsake the devil. And then, do you forsake all the devil's money? So we are talking about making sacrifices here. Do you forsake all the devil's work? And then comes the interesting part. The heathen has to answer to the priest, yeah, I forsake all the devil's work and all the devil's words, blah, blah, blah. And I forsake Donar, Wodan, and Saxnot. So they were 3 very, very, very important gods. And they were worshipped, well, this is the year 750, so they were worshipped on a large scale in those days. So that is the baptism vow of Utrecht. So that's only a very short document. Now the other document is a lot longer. It contains 30 practices, heathen practices that are forbidden. And I can already tell you we still do these things today. So they have not won. And in the Latin language, now here it comes, I'm a very uneducated person. So in Latin, it is called Indiculus Superstitionem e Paganiarum. So that's Latin. Now, Dirkje, we have read these 30 rules, these 30 heathen practices that are forbidden. So what did you notice? What do you think were interesting points?
Yeah, I like all of them because of this law and because of the Christianization of the pagan people, we can see what they did.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can find out what the pagan people did. And this document is from the year, I think, 750, so it's quite ancient. And yeah, they are all going about ancestor worships, over sacred places in the woods, and also about healing, and also about the calling of the dead, the necromancy. And so, yeah, we pick some forbidden laws.
Oh yeah.
And it's not always very, very clear what they mean. So by some laws we have to guess, but some laws are quite clear. So that's good. And yeah, I picked 13 or 14 laws, and there are more, but I thought, well, these are very interesting. The first one is a law about blasphemy at the graves of the dead. And there were women shamanizing the dead. So they were calling the dead, I think, and they were, rituals on the grave. And I read another book about laws, and in that book was told that there were sitting on graves. And so it's not in this law, but in another law, I think. So women did do that. And that was forbidden because they really, really wanted to rule out all the pre-Christian spirituality.
Yeah, and the ancestor worship, they wanted to get rid of that, to make people spiritual orphans, so to speak. So they would be spiritually disrooted, and then they would run to the Catholic Church for some spirituality. That was the basic idea. But guess what? Dirkje and me and many others are still sitting on burial mounds. And there is something special about this. When the Roman Catholic Church said that you cannot sit on burial mounds anymore, people would sometimes start sitting on the rooftop, because that's between the element earth and the element air. And then the Roman Catholic Church intervened again, and they said, no, you're also not allowed to sit on the rooftops. So then the people, they would go to another liminal place. So what is another liminal place? A doorstep. It's like a gateway. So they would just do their necromancy on the doorstep of the church. I mean,
of the church?
Yeah. That
okay,
is
we have to do that.
Let's pick a church and we go do some necromancy. Well, actually, I do this actually at normal graveyards.
Yeah,
You
but
can go
not
to
in
a
the
regular...
church yet, so...
No, that's haven't done that yet. I think you would be chased away if you would do that.
Yeah, let's see. And the second law is about blasphemy, about the dead, and this is about songs and the miling of the dead at graves. So they did do songs and spells on the graves, I think. So they did do that. They were not silent, so to speak.
Well, already in the Edda poetry, you can read that Odin, he would do necromancy. So he would also call the dead. There's one story that he basically questions a vulva who died, a giantess vulva. So that is also a thing. And also people build spirit houses on cemetery places for the ancestors.
Yeah, that's also in one of the laws. It's later in one of the laws.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And another one is about filthy eggs in February.
Whoa.
So I really don't know what I mean with filthy eggs.
Maybe we have people in the audience, maybe we have people who are watching these videos who do filthy things in February, or maybe filthy things the entire year. So please put it in the comments section, folks. Please do it. What are filthy things?
You can do it the whole year, not only in February, whatever it is.
Yeah, I guess. What is it?
Yeah, but they really did not understand this spirituality, so they called it filthy, whatever it was. But yeah, maybe you have an idea. You can put it in the comments.
Well, the writer, she speaks about group meals, so eating together.
Yeah, but filthy?
But yeah, I don't know what's filthy about that. Maybe the church would think that the food will become impure if you eat it on a cemetery. I don't know what's behind this law.
Yeah, or maybe they did drink and having sex or something, you know? Maybe
like fertility.
kind of wild party. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, and rule 4 is about sanctuaries in the woods. Yeah, they mention sanctuaries in the woods, and yeah, that there was something forbidden. And now we know that people did not have temples or buildings, but were going into the woods. And it is animism. So people worshipped trees and lakes and maybe streams and rivers. So yeah, there is a little sanctuary found in the north of the Netherlands. That was a wooden temple, very tiny wooden temple of Berger, I think it's the name. I don't know anymore. But yeah, so they made very little temples of wood also. But it's nice, it's mentioned, sanctuaries in the woods.
Yeah, and sometimes they had a enclosure, so like a wall or a fence around it. And sometimes a little wooden structure. An example you can find in the province of Drenthe. There's a museum that has a reconstruction of one of these old little temples. Mm-hmm. And they're basically just wooden pillars with a wooden beam on top, a bit horn-shaped, but very simple. It was about nature. It was about animism. There's life in everything. Everything has a soul. And we also made a video about that because we talk about the gods a lot in heathenry and in paganism, but actually animism, the belief that everything is spirited and that there are many non-human persons around, that's basically the basics. that's the foundation, so to speak.
Yeah. The 5th law is about what they do over certain stones. Yeah, and it has something to do with fertility and rituals. So it's not mentioned exactly what they did do, but they did do something on stones. Now, you were when we visited Tamfana temple, Martijn, we were in a town called Oldenzaal.
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
In the middle of that place, there was a big stone carried from the pagan place into the middle of the town. So there was a really big place, a big stone. And we thought it was maybe
giant.
And we thought maybe it was a sacrifice stone or something, because it was flattened on top. And you can see it in the video about Tamfana. Yeah, maybe that was also a kind of stone, like they mention in the law. Yeah, and then they did do something with fertility on that stone and rituals. Maybe in the full moon or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and the author of this book, Anine van der Meer, she mentions a word named roetsen.
I saw that, but I don't know what it is.
No, I couldn't find what it is. I have looked on the internet, but I cannot find what this practice is. But roetsen, it means like sliding. So the stones must have been rubbed or sliding over a surface, but it's totally unknown what it actually was.
Yeah, but the stone we visited in that place was very soft, and we were rubbing with our hands over the stones because it felt so smooth. So
yeah, but you wanted to decapitate me when I was at the stone. You wanted to cut my head off. I remember.
Yeah, but maybe.
Fortunately, I escaped.
You escaped.
I escaped.
Yeah.
This happens.
Yeah. Point 6. It's a law about amulets and bindings. So this was also about healing and maybe spells, amulets. Well, that's very shamanistic. And bindings, that is binding ropes around hands. I'm not about talking about handvasting, the marriage, with bindings and saying spells to cure or to let other things come out. Yeah, so I think bindings and spells are connected. So they did do that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they did not have a law against that. Interesting, huh? I really like these laws, these scripts.
I was also taught to do this, by the way, by taking a rope. So for instance, when somebody is dying, you can tie knots in a rope and give it prayers, so to speak. And then you can put that little cord with all the knots in it, you can put it in the coffin of the deceased person. So that's also, yeah, it's still being done actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still a practice that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still thinking because in a very far past, I did join a Wicca group. I'm not into Wicca now, but that was also about ropes turning around and saying spells. So yeah, oh, that's nice.
It's pretty interesting, by the way, that this is about healing, this point that we just mentioned. Healing. But, you know, most women who got burned on the stake for being witches, they were often midwives or herbal healers. So healing is, well, a very bad thing in the eyes of the Roman Catholic Church, obviously. So this healing women and also men, but there are more women doing this.
Yeah.
They were simply burned alive for simply being
healing
heathen healers.
Healing is still a bad thing in the eyes of the powers that be. They earn more money with sick people.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's a modern day witch hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's modern day politics.
The next point is about incantations. Yeah, that's really mentioned, incantations. So maybe Galde is also a form of incantation. I don't know. Do you think so, Martijn?
Yeah, because using the voice for spiritual practice is extremely important in paganism and heathenism, or whatever name you want to give it.
Yeah.
It's extremely important. For instance, if I sit down somewhere that I know is a powerful place. So those are not necessarily historic places. They can also be places in contemporary forests or parks even. And then sometimes I just start to sing for the beings that live there spontaneously. So I also do this when I just make a walk in the park and I'm thinking about a certain deity or ancestors, and I can just use my voice to spontaneously sing in a certain rhythm that depends on purpose.
Yeah.
And the words, they just come out naturally. So using the voice, extremely important. And the Old Norse word is galder. And we made a video about this as well.
Yeah. Yeah, using the voice on a repetitive way is trance-inducing for me. If I repeat, yeah, but okay. About predictions for the future and the casting of lots. So divination, oracle, maybe high seed ritual. So they did do predict the future as well. So yeah, I have heard a story in the training we did do that they walk around for days through a village in trance to get messages about the future, about the war, about most of the time about food or all kind of disasters that in the nature are coming or not. So yeah, I wish I can go back in time to see what I really did. you know?
Well, yeah, what you mentioned, walk around for a couple of days. This is also what precedes a high seat ritual. The
Yeah.
seer or seeress
Yeah.
first spends the entire night in the village, just walking around and contacting the nature spirits and the other spirits that live in that certain place. So she's just sensing the vibe, getting information, and then the high seat ritual takes place. But this whole divination thing is still extremely popular because people who work with the rooms, one of the most common things people nowadays do with the rooms is basically divination. And you can also perform magic with it, of course. So yeah, still popular. There are many books written about it. So yeah.
Yeah, and there were helpers, eh? Girls were singing as well.
Yeah.
So, and then for hours and hours. And when we did do the high seat ritual, we did do it, I think, 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, Martijn. And that was working as well. So we did not need days.
I have no clue how long it took because I was one of the persons on the high seat. So guys can do this as well.
Yeah.
I was in quite a state of trance. I remember feeling hot and cold at the same time, and I was sweating a lot, and I could not use my normal voice. I could just stumble over my words. So I have no clue how long it took. I only know that it took me a long time to get out of this trance.
Yeah, so, but it was not for days.
No. Fortunately not.
No. Point 9, rule 9, about what pagans see in the fire when they start something. So that's interesting. I really did not know that staring or looking in the fire. And I think it's always magical to be around a campfire. Yeah, if we are around a campfire, everybody is staring in the flames. So that's probably in our DNA, to stare into flames. You can see all kinds of things in flames. Oh. But it's funny that they mentioned it.
Flames. Well, yeah, I have a little problem with flames. I have no fireplace in my house. I have a central heating, so staring at the central heating is a bit boring.
Yeah, but I think you can use a candle as well.
Yeah, I just showed one. Yeah.
Sorry?
It's my candle.
Yeah. Yeah, I use a candle sometimes and stare into it. And I did do that a while ago. It's just a few years ago. I did stare into the flames with a special purpose. I'm not going to mention the purpose now. But suddenly, out of nowhere, the flame bursted. So, like if you strike a match.
Mm.
So I was staring in the flames, I think 1.5 hours, and then suddenly, so I really was shocked after that. Still not, yeah, I don't know how this could happen. It was quite magical that it happened. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and I did do a while ago a ritual with a group in another country. And we had also a little candle, and we made a kind of power place for somebody else in the middle of the group. And after that, it was raining, it was storming, and the candle kept burning, all the time. It was not possible actually because of the rain and the wind and yeah, candle kept burning and burning and burning hours. I mean, normally maybe 2 hours or something, and then a little candle is gone. I think 6 hours or something, 8 hours. Yeah, it's also magical. Still also a mystery. Yeah, but that was about staring in flames. What also was forbidden, Law 10, the festivals for Donar and Bodam. So they kept festivals for Rodam and Donar. Exnot is not mentioned here, but probably more goddess, more deities. I can imagine they here mention just male deities, but there were probably also festivals for female deities, I think. Yeah, in spring, of course, there are festivals around the May tree. And yeah, I don't know about festivals for Dona and Wodan. I don't know if there are remains that point out these festivals now.
Well, nowadays in December we celebrate Saint Nicholas, and we also made a video about that. But Saint Nicholas is basically Wodan or Odin, dressed up as a bishop, and all the attributes, all the things that Wodan or Odin has, like instead of a spear, he now has a staff, and he still has a gray horse, and he has instead of his blue cloak, he wears a red cloak. So basically, Saint Nicholas is still a remnant of Wodan or Odin, no matter how you want to call him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, but it's kind of surprising that Saxnot was not mentioned. And in this part of the world, Northwestern Europe, the Matronae, the triple goddesses, were very important too. So they must have had their own festivals as well. But nowadays there are Nehelenia festivals every year in the province of Zeeland. So again, we are still doing it. We are still doing it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. We're also celebrating the equinoxes, the winter solstice and midsummer. So yeah, also festivals. Yeah, but they were forbidden. Yeah. Point 11, about representing a beloved deceased as a saint. So this is about ancestor worship. And it's about beloved ones. So yeah, maybe what you said, heroes. They are not saints, of course, but the Catholic Church interpreted it as saints. But they were honored as heroes, I think.
Yeah, because not every ancestor was worshipped equally, because to be a great ancestor that can be revered throughout the ages, you must have been a very important person, a very good person, or a very powerful person, someone with special qualities. And interestingly enough, this is also a practice that the Roman Catholic Church has basically taken over from heathenry. So in heathenry, they said, the Roman Catholic Church said, no, you heathens cannot worship great ancestors. But at the same time, the Roman Catholics are not deifying, but making saints out of people as well, like Mother Teresa, for instance. She's also made into a saint. So the Catholic Church is doing exactly the same as what we heathens were not allowed to do. But the principle works the same. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, they did pick a lot of practices and uses to Christianize it. There are more things like, maybe in the next point.
No, also like you mentioned these festivities, carnival, as we call it nowadays. So you have these floats with dressed up people on top of it, singing, dancing. Also goes back to heathen times. So there were statues of goddesses or gods. They were carried around the land and people were having parties around it. I mean, the historian Tacitus, the Roman historian, also mentioned that for the goddess Nertus. And now we call it carnival. So also that was hijacked by the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah.
We could not have these festivities anymore, but they could. Works the same.
Yeah, that's mentioned also in the 12th law I have here. about statues of gods they carry around the fields.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
it.
did carry, in the Celtic countries, they did carry around Bridget, I think, and other goddesses, pure to energize the fertility of the field. And yeah, in the Roman Church, they do processions, and they're carrying a cross, and then with a whole bunch of people walking behind through the streets. It's the same principle. Also, they still do it, I think, with Catholic Church around the church sometimes about with the burials. Yeah, if people are if their beloved ones are dead, they also go around a few times.
Yeah, maybe they're still doing it in the more Roman Catholic provinces of the Netherlands, in Limburg or Brabant. Maybe there's some processions going on.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I live in the west of the country and you live in the kind of in the east.
But the funny thing is, the Roman Church did do a lot of things, still does, that is not mentioned in the Bible. About people declaring as a saint, all the saint people, and also the processions. It's not mentioned in the Bible. So they did pick it up from the pagan people to Christianize it. So that's very clear to me. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were very set in our pagan ways. So that was, even under threat of violence, it was very difficult to get rid of our pagan practices. And yeah, as mentioned, we are still doing it nowadays. All these not all these, but lots of these practices we are still doing. And fortunately, we have the freedom to do it. That's very important.
Yeah. It's also about another video we made about a well. All kind of sanctuary places, wells, and they built a church around, or a little church near a well, and to make it a Christian place. Because people were already going to that well to honor the spirit, to honor the water, or the mother of the water. And in the Netherlands we visited a well, and it's a completely Christianized place. So
but not if you tune into this well, because when we started to tune in with the three of us, that day we took several different wells, and Christianity is just a thin layer, because it's still extremely pagan if you tune into the well, and then you can see that the spirit of the well, the beings who live there, it is still pagan as pagan can be. So nothing has changed. You can just simply go to these Roman Catholic places, like in the Dutch town of Heilo, or in Egmond. You can still go there. You can still sit at those wells, get into a trance state, and see what's going on. But I do recommend you people, if you want to do this, then be a bit stealthy. So just sit on a bench next to the well, not with shamanic drums and all that stuff. Just like a normal pilgrim, stealth, and you can still tune in to the well.
I remember that we did go there with a one drum, I think, with a little, just a few people. But then there was a Catholic lady, and she was looking at us if we are really demons. What are you doing here? Well, it's our well, lady, but
it's our well.
Completely shocked. I remember, but it's a funny story.
But it's crazy how these people have forgotten that these wells are not theirs.
No.
And we still go there.
Yeah, exactly.
We still go there.
Yeah, let's see. This is the last law I have written down. It's about believing that women can read the moon, so they can take people's heart out. That's a law.
Wow.
take people's heart out. That's probably not true. But maybe reading the moon, yeah, they probably did do something with the moon. In the lot of witchcraft, people are always looking at the moon, and sewing with gaining moon, and doing other things with full moon. Yeah, the lady of the book says that this was probably about worship of Valhalla or Perta, and that this is about regeneration rituals. So, yeah, maybe that's true. But it is written down as a law, so it's forbidden that you read the moon and that you take people's hearts out. Well, the last thing.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, but they did made up a lot of stories. They did make up a lot of stories about drinking blood and slaughter children, and they made the pagan people devil worshippers. So taking people's heart out is another thing of that story, I think. It's demonizing pagan people, probably. But yeah, the question is, what things do you want to do from this list? And you can practice a lot of things and find out. And there are more laws, but yeah, it was too much to mention at all. But a lot is about ancestor worship, healing, mostly in connection with nature, graves, and sanctuaries. So there is a lot to experience, isn't it, Martijn?
Well, we are already experiencing a lot. We are going to the burial mounds, we are going to the ancient wells, we are connecting with the trees, we are connecting with the nature spirits, and we do our galder, our use of the voice. So basically, many of these practices we are fortunately still be able to do. And we can even do high seat rituals, even that is possible.
Yeah.
So
and sitting on burial mounds. A few days ago, I did do that with a friend of mine. And I did do a post on Telegram as well about this. But we were sitting on a burial mound in the middle of the forest. And suddenly there were ravens with the noise they made and flying around. So that was really special. Sitting on a burial mound and then suddenly ravens. I think 8 or 10 maybe. So yeah, that kind of things happens. It's really strange, but yeah, often if you go into this kind of practices, then you experience a kind of synchronicity in things. So very interesting.
Yeah, because when we did Galder for the, when we did Galder for the people who were hanged on that Gallow Hill, we did our Galder practice, our singing for the dead, so highly forbidden. Yeah. But then when we walked in the forest, or when we were even outside of the forest, in a sand area, we saw 2 ravens.
Yeah, also
2 ravens.
Yeah.
So then you can see all these things happening. The world is a magical place if you live this lifestyle. And that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think you have to be open for that kind of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, you talked about that Gallow Hill, Martijn, and I felt goosebumps over there. That was the reason why we stopped there, and you started doing Galder. And yeah, but I can also walk further. Okay, goosebumps, okay, no problem, we go away. But you can also stand still and see what's happening and follow your intuition.
Yeah, that's the right word. Intuition is the key to heathenism, paganism, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
And stay connected with your body. It's
Definitely.
very important. Stay grounded, because then you feel your body. You can also go in and float everywhere. And sometimes it's also good, but it's best to stay connected in yourself. If you do practices, all kind of practices in this area, and you have to be stable and be connected in your body and stay grounded. That's important if you are going to do these kind of things.
I really wonder what our viewers, what kind of practices they do. So I hope that the people who watch this video, they put it in the comment section what practices they do.
Oh, that would be nice.
That would be really nice. Yeah,
Yeah, please do that. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Because we also can learn from you guys.
Yeah.
Your experience, your knowledge. And we are trying to find out things. But yeah, there's a lot to find out, a lot to experience. So yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, well.
Yeah, that was Heathen Reflections Part 4 already.
Part 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for watching again. We appreciate your support, and we see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.